Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit more about the Spleen Center, which is the center for fear and to some extent health and wellness within your human design body graph. And I'm going to be sharing it with you in relation to attracting in clients, but actually having those conversations with clients that might lead to an offer to come and work with you. So otherwise known as a sales conversation. So it might be that you're having a conversation with someone on a call, and you've both agreed to get onto a call and have a conversation about your services. It might be that you're going in and pitching an idea, or pitching a way that you can actually go and work with someone, in terms of if you're a consultant in corporate or something like that, which many of my clients are. Or it might be that you just meet someone randomly somewhere amazing, and you just hit it off and you're sharing what you do, and they're like, oh, that's amazing, tell me more. And you realize that this conversation might be heading towards an offer. And I was speaking to someone the other day, an amazing woman actually, that I did a human design reading with probably about 6 weeks ago as I'm recording this, and she used that very example of the fact that she was at a conference, and this woman sat down next to her and they started to have a conversation, and the woman that I did a reading for was sharing with her what she did for as a coach, and the other woman was like, oh my goodness, like, I've been looking for you. And she worked in corporate herself. She had a budget for her leadership training. She wanted to work with her immediately. It was just amazing, so meant to be. And it just shows you that you never know where you might have these conversations. A few years ago, I was walking down the street near my home, and I like to go and buy fresh flowers. I love to have fresh flowers in the house. I love to buy myself flowers. I love to buy my clients flowers. I just love to buy flowers. And this woman was walking past me and said, they're such a beautiful bouquet of flowers. And we started talking, and she started to come and work with me. So these conversations can happen very organically. What's really important for you as a CEO and founder, and in being in the service of others and looking for clients, actively looking for clients, is to be prepared in any eventuality in having this conversation, but most importantly, feeling confident about yourself and the change that you could make in that person's life, without thinking, oh, I have to follow a sales script and I need to tick all of these boxes. It's not actually about that. It's about the energy. It's about feeling into the energy of that other person. And just as importantly as trying to get the sale, it's also really feeling into and trusting your instincts around, is this someone that I actually want to work with? Is this someone that I actually feel aligned with? And is this someone that's going to be a joy to work with? And can I actually help them? And this is where the Spleen Center really comes into play. So this is my human design chart. So I have shared now a series of videos. So I've done the head. So I know you can't see my pointy arrow thing on the screen, even though I can see it. I know that you can't see it. So I'm like moving my cursor around and I'm like, you can't see it. So at the moment, with my invisible cursor, I'm pointing to the head center, which is at the top of the human design chart. So this is the arrow. This is the triangle at the top of the head. At the very top, that's the head. So we've covered the head. We've covered the upside down triangle underneath that, the Ashna. We've covered the throat, which is on my chart is that they're all defined. These three centers. So the throat is the square, then underneath the throat is the G center, that is the diamond. We've done the heart, which is the very small but mighty triangle to the right hand side of the diamond, and then the a triangle on the far right hand side of the body graph. That is the solar plexus, which is the center of emotions, which was the last video that I recorded. And now we're going to speak about the spleen, which is on the far left hand side of this body graph, which we're going to talk about today. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't done so already, to go and watch those videos. Go and watch the my introduction video. I'm wearing like a green kimono on that one. And that's where I am taking you through all of the centers, what they mean, and also taking you through the energies of those centers and the difference between whether you've got your centers defined, so they're coloured in, or they are undefined, they're white, or they're completely open, and what the differences are between those. I'm not going to go into the differences of undefined and open today, but I am going to be talking about, when I talk about undefined, I'm also referring to open, just so that you know. And obviously defined. So what is the spleen all about? Well, the spleen is, it's a very like primeval, maybe is the best word to describe it. It's a very, very old energy of wisdom within the body. And we often have many people in this world. Well, we do have many people in this world that actually have it as an inner authority. Many of the clients that I've worked with have this as an inner authority and describe the decision-making process as the splenic hit. So it's something that's very intuitive, very in the moment. Sometimes it can be a bit of a whisper. So you need to be at one and associated in your body to sometimes be able to hear the whispers. But this spleen center carries the energy of fear. You know when people are talking about like trust your hunches, that's the spleen. It's really understanding, like you've got a hunch about something and it's really trusting that. And it's also associated with health and wellness. So I'm going to take you through what that means in terms of you having a sales conversation with someone that potentially you want to invite them in to come and work with you in some capacity. This body chart that I have been sharing with you on these videos is actually part of my human design book. So I'm going to take you up to the top here. So this is a book that you can go onto my website, abigailrebecca.com, and you can order. I will put this together for you based on your bespoke human design, and then it's sent to you within 5 days. So if you would like your very own human design book, you can go and order that over my website. It's only $97, and it's like a human design reading but in book form. And it's nice actually because there's sections on here where you're asked questions, so you can go and do some further self-reflection, journaling, meditation around it. There we are. There's some questions there. There's questions at the end of each section. So that's the book. Let's dive into the spleen, shall we, when it comes to having those sales conversations. So with your defined spleen, if your spleen is defined, if your spleen is coloured in, it means that instinctively you know when something is right or wrong. Okay, so you can really feel that when you are having a conversation. So where I would say that really helps you within a sales conversation is that you can be really confident in your decision making. So if you are saying to someone in integrity, you know what, I think this is a really good fit for you and this is why I think it is. Or if you're saying in integrity, you know what, I just don't think that this is the right time for you and it's not a good fit for you. What happens there is when you are speaking from your defined spleen, the person that you are having a conversation with can feel really confident in your decision-making energy. And if it's a no, it's a no. You know, sometimes it's just not the right fit. Sometimes you know that it's you're not going to be able to help that person, it's not a good fit. But when it is a good fit, what happens is that when you are speaking from that authority, I'm not talking about inner authority here, as in human design, I'm talking about your authority as a leader. When you are speaking from that authority within your spleen, there is a quiet certainty around it. And what that means is that people will feel safe saying yes. And I'm not sharing this as a, you know, like a manipulating NLP kind of strategy for sales. Far from it. I am sharing this so that in integrity, you can go forward and you can say to that person, look, this is a really good fit, and they'll feel that from you. Okay, they'll feel that certainty from you, and they will feel reassured. And what these people are doing is, when they're on a call with you, they are looking for a leader. They're looking for someone who is going to be able to stand for them and lead them through a process. And that energy will then give them the confidence for themselves to say yes or no. And of course they can say no. They might not feel that this is the right fit for them. But this will really be able to help you to be more confident. And I would say with that, really trust your spleen. Even if your inner authority, your decision-making process is not the spleen, also please trust your splenic hit, because there will be a part of that. It won't be the decision-making process for you if it's not your inner authority, but it's also to trust. Trust when something feels good. Trust when your spleen is saying yes, that this is the right fit for you. Don't try and override it with your head. What might happen on that call is that your head might be trying to override it and you know, like making a decision with your head and overriding that feeling that you have within your body. Just tell your head to be quiet. Your head is where the monkey brain chatter is, where the fear is, where the, you know, weighing at the consequences, making a guess. Really trust your body in with this decision. And again, I just want to differentiate between the fact that, you know, you might have your spleen defined, but your decision-making process is your solar plexus, for example. If your decision-making process is your solar plexus, you make that decision, you know, using your body, that guttural sound, or, you know, moving forward, or something happening in your body. But also remember that there will be that spleen that you also need to be aware of when you're having these conversations, okay? With your undefined, the energy is slightly different, okay? So what you're doing is, if that person that you're having a call with has their spleen defined, you'll be bringing in the energy from that center. Not only will you bringing in that energy, you'll also be amplifying it. So trust your instincts around this. You can actually taste their fear and hesitation. You'll be able to sense it. And don't be afraid to call them out on it. Don't be afraid to name it. You know, if you feel that there's a fear that's coming up, use this as an opportunity to be able to guide that person through a process. And, you know, at the end of that conversation, they have the autonomy to say yes or no, but at least you know that you've been able to handle their objections with care. You know, you're respecting them, they're respecting you, you're having a conversation, it feels good, but maybe you are sensing something in them that you can then name, and you can then have a very open and honest and adult conversation about it. So you are feeling into their fears, and their fears around committing to say yes and investing and working with you, especially if it's an investment at a high level, might be the very fear that's holding them back from going out there and being very successful. So trust your intuition when it comes to that. Trust the feelings, the spidey senses that you will get on that call. One of the things that I would say to you with an undefined spleen is that very often you can feel that fear yourself, and it might be fear that's driving the conversation. So let me just explain myself when it comes to that. I am in a mastermind. I've been in the mastermind for a number of years now, and someone posted in the mastermind the other day that she'd had a conversation with someone and she didn't feel that they were a good fit. She didn't feel that they were ready. She didn't feel that they were a good fit for her coaching services. But this person really, really wanted to work with them, and this person actually had the money to be able to pay in full to come and work with her. Now, what a dilemma that is. Because there's one part of you that's going, no, I don't think this is a good fit. And then there's another part of you that's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have all this money that's going to show up in my bank account because this person is definitely going to say yes. We can very often make decisions ourselves when we are leading sales conversations that are based in fear. And her hesitation around it is not only this woman's hesitation that I'm speaking about, is not only the fear of not having that money, not ever having that money show up in her world again. It's also like, am I sending out a clear message to the universe that I don't want money? Okay, so it's almost like I'm saying no to this money, and then the universe is like, oh, you don't want this money? Okay, well, we won't send you any more money. And it's really understanding the differentiation between that and understanding that when you say no to something in a sales conversation because it doesn't feel right, because you don't think that this is the right client for you, you don't think you're going to be able to help this client, that you don't think that they're quite ready, or it might be, quite honestly, that this client is going to be an absolute pain in the ass and you do not want to work with this person for 6 months or even a year. It's to really trust that and to know that you are sending a clear message to the universe that your energy is not open to a client like this. It's not the money that you are rejecting, it's actually the energy of not necessarily that person, but the container of your energy and their energy together. And it's not going to be a very good idea. And that is a very, very courageous but very savvy decision that you will make when you will say no. If you have an undefined solar plexus, you can often if you have an undefined spleen, you can very often hold on to things that no longer serve you. Clutter, people, relationships, business partners, businesses, products, services, limiting beliefs, worries about money, worries that the money is not going to come into you if you turn this money down, and also outdated energy in terms of that the person that you're saying no to might be someone that you worked with in the past, but this is not someone that you're going to be working with now. Okay, and very often the energy of that undefined spleen can be holding on to the idea of that was your ideal client, but actually it's really understanding that this is where you are now and you're not going to be able to meet that client where they're at, and that person is much better off going and working with someone else that will be at that level. Okay, so the spleen plays a significant part not just in you having a conversation where someone will say yes at the end of it, but also having a conversation where you could say no at the end of it, and letting that person go with love, but being very, very clear that my energy is precious and I am not prepared to share my energy with this person. Now, if I was that person's coach within the mastermind, that's what I would share with them, and that's what I would guide them through. But they have not invited me in to share that with them, even though I'm in that mastermind. I'm a projector in human design, so I'm not going to share that with them because I haven't been invited in to share with them. But I wanted to share it with you because I know that you follow me on this channel, so this is what you want to learn about from me. So I invite you in to comment below if you have any questions, any aha moments, anything else that you need. I'm going to stop recording now. I did say that these videos would only be 10 minutes long, and look, we're going into 20-minute realm, but that obviously means that there's something to talk about and something to discuss around this. So that was the spleen. I would love your comments below, and I will see you on the next video.